Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Zach with the Wellness Way in Appleton. And today we're going to be covering a very important topic. And this topic is not only important because it's very common, but it's important because it's overlooked on a consistent basis as well. And that topic is food allergies. Now, when we're dealing with food allergies, we're dealing with something that can either help us or hurt us. And when we're dealing with something that can hurt us, especially with food, when we're having those foods that hurt us on a consistent basis and eating them every day, unknowingly in most cases, the damage that it can cause in the long term can have a big effect on our health. And some of us know this all too well. And when we start to look at how these things have an effect on us, we start to look at some of the other symptoms that they can create as well. So identifying the major culprits that cause damage in our office, the way that we remember those are the 3 T's: the traumas, the physical stressors, toxins, the chemical stressors of the food that we're going to be talking about today, and the thoughts, our emotional stressors. All 3 of those can create damage and can affect our immune system, our hormones, our nervous system, and cause bad health. So when we are looking at food and when we're identifying some of these things that are going to be on a consistent basis causing damage, food's got to be one of the most important ones that we're going to look at. So when we're looking at things that are causing us damage every day, not only do we want to identify what they are, but we want to see how our body's reacting to that stressor as well. So one of the hormones that your body creates in response to a stressor, no matter if it's a physical, chemical, or emotional stressor, is cortisol. And cortisol levels are going to help us deal with those stressors, and it's also going to help us with a number of other things that help us to maintain our health. So cortisol gets released when our body is stressed. But if we're stressed on a consistent basis, sometimes those levels are going to fall. So our motto at the Wellness Way, we don't guess, we test. We're going to test those cortisol levels to see where our body is in terms of the stress response. We're going to be able to see if our cortisol levels are elevated and we're stressed all the time. Or we're going to be able to see if those cortisol levels are depleted. If we're stressed and if we have food as a major stressor, and that's something that's been going on for a long time, we're going to see our cortisol levels come down and we're going to see that depleted level of hormone. And our body is going to be struggling and asking for help, and we're going to start to see a lot of other symptoms that are going to be seemingly unrelated to the food, with problems with sleep, having issues with our energy levels throughout the day, all the way to skin rashes and things that we don't even think that have something to do with food or from a meal that we just got done eating. But when we start to take a look at the long term and how this food is affecting us every single day, these symptoms are going to get a little bit further away from the last meal that you ate. So when we're looking at those symptoms and we're looking at how our body identifies an enemy, we have to start looking at the immune system. So again, our motto is we don't guess, we test. So how do we identify what those major stressors are if they are food? We need to identify them in terms of our immune system. We need to test those immune system antibodies. And testing those immune system antibodies are going to help us to identify what your immune system has now decided is an enemy. And when we're dealing with food, food shouldn't be an enemy. And if food is an enemy, that means our body's going to react to it. So if we're eating some of these foods every single day, we're going to have reactions to them every single day. And on a long enough timeline, our immune system is going to be so overly sensitive that we are going to start to get some of those symptoms that seem unrelated to food. So once we identify those stressors, the next step is eliminating them and starting to make some of those healthy changes to get us back on that roadmap to wellness.